Oh, right. Yeah, this someone requested. Well, they said do because we did the JonBene Ramsey kind of story, and it does seem like it's the parents or it was her brother, and they covered it up because even though there's creepy people living around her, she could they could have but then if you live in a house big enough, maybe someone could, like, I know that, yeah. That's what I mean. It's one of them where this is probably the craziest thing I've ever heard. But it would seem at like a first glance that it had to be someone in the house, really. And they tried to cover it up. But yeah, someone said do a reaction to their interviews. And there's a few of them. But this one, someone had made a short of and said disturbing interview with JonBene Ramsey and had clipped a bit for a short. And I kind of matched the mum's what she's wearing. But that's why I picked this interview first. But I'll do other ones. And if anyone knows any other, to be honest, this is crazy. I'd love to know kind of more and have more of a in depth. Because the video we done was kind of like a brief overview of the whole thing. And it's crazy. But yeah, anyway, this is John and Patsy Ramsey interview. So yeah. And this is the, like I say, someone made a short saying this is disturbing. So let's see what they've, if what they think was disturbing. Let's go.
To those of you who may want to ask, let me address very directly, I did not kill my daughter JonBene. There have also been innuendos that she has been or was sexually molested. I can tell you those were the most hurtful innuendos to us as a family. They are totally false. JonBene and I had a very close relationship.
It's weird that there's a kind of smile on his face. It feels like this is more like a representative of the family doing the press conference. Like, there's kind of a smile on his face, which that's pretty weird.
I will miss her dearly for the rest of my life.
I'm Patsy Ramsey, JonBene's mother, and I'm grateful that we are finally able to meet together face to face. I'm appalled that anyone would think that John or I would be involved in such a hideous, heinous crime. But let me assure you that I did not kill JonBene. I did not have anything to do with it. I love that child with my whole of my heart and soul.
Mr. and Mrs. Ramsey, what do you want to say to the killer of your daughter?
We'll find you. We will find you. I have that as a sole mission for the rest of my life.
Mrs. Ramsey?
Likewise.
You'll find her, but you didn't. You'll find them, but you didn't detect that they come into your house. Now, I know that is possible because I've house sit a house that was so big, my sister actually cleans it as one of her jobs. And I've had that where my sister was in that house for ages, and the house is so big that I didn't know until she literally walked in the room I was in. You can't hear the other end of the house. So, and American houses are bigger than what we have. Like it's unthinkable in a English house. Like the house I grew up in, there is no way someone could come in and kill your kid in that house. It's way too small. But American houses are bigger. If they've got money, they're gonna have a fat house. And I know that it's possible to not hear someone in the same house, but not hear someone kill your kid. It's crazy. And I don't see how you're gonna find them if you didn't even realize they got into your house, murdered your kid, and got away.
The police and investigators have assured us that this is a case which can be solved. You know, you may be alluding the authorities for a time, but God knows who you are, and we will find you.
I think one of the issues that was distressing to us, and it perhaps caused some bias of opinion, is why did we bring lawyers into this process early on? And I can tell you both how that happened and why it happened. The how is that on the day after the tragedy, we were being consoled by friends and family, and a close friend of mine, who was also a practicing attorney, took me aside and said, "John, I see some things developing here that I would like to ask your permission to do some things that I think are necessary to be done." And I said, "Fine, do it." And so he retained counsel for Patsy and I. And we later learned, and really later was really the next few days, that the reason he did this is that sadly for our country, most tragedies of this nature, the killing of a child, apparently in the majority of cases are family related. And I think that's a tragic statement for our country. But because we were the parents of JonBene, we were automatically put in the suspect pool. And so to not have knowledgeable counsel, my close friend felt would be foolish. Now, we also at that time, as a parent, I looked at retaining of attorneys. We also brought in a couple of investigative firms, some experts that we assembled. I felt a very helpless feeling as to what can I do to help solve this case. Had it been in my power, I would have called out the National Guard, frankly. So as we looked at this group of people that we pulled together, it was not only to advise us in this process, but hopefully to assist the investigation to a closure. We have spoken.
See, do you think it could have been the brother? Because I think she was like a kind of gonna be famous kid, I think. Maybe the brother was jealous, or maybe it was an accident and it was the brother, but if you kind of hand over your other child, then you lose both children in that. That's a dark place to be in, like a mindset, but I don't know, because this time it seemed a lot more, I kind of took what he was saying a bit more. The first one, it did seem a little bit too smiley, but I did think that could be just him being nervous, being in front of the world.
With the police, we spoke with the police approximately 8 hours on the 26th, another 2 hours on the 27th. Have supplied them with every piece of information we have. So the impression that we haven't spoken with the police is totally false. What we have, what has been delayed has been this formal interrogation of us as suspects. And frankly, we were, as you might imagine, insulted that we would even be considered suspects in the death of our daughter, and felt that an interrogation of us was a waste of our time and a waste of the police's time. But because they have to do this, we're willing to do it, but not under any circumstance that was presented to us.
You know, we would like to think that we don't know anyone that we have ever met in our lives who could do such a thing to a child. You know, but they talked with us and said, please tell us names of people, you know, who may have been in your home at any time. You know, we just outpoured information just as much as we could try to remember. But, you know, no one specifically came to mind. I mean, you can't imagine such a horrible thing ever happening, much less somebody that you may know.
You know, at first we were shocked.
Well, I don't know. I was going to say, I think I think when something happens, I think people do actually know. Like, I bet it's him. Like, but then I was thinking that's not necessarily true because, like, a lot of serial killers are normal people that you talk to and wouldn't guess in a million years. It doesn't mean that they're not an oddball. Well, they are an oddball, but they're not socially odd necessarily. But yeah, yeah. I don't know. I think if like that happened, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to say. But yeah, that's right.
And then outraged, and then we understood statistically that's a sad state of affairs, that's apparently in the majority of cases like this in our country, family members or parents are ultimately involved. And so we accepted being suspects, but what concerned us, and certainly still does concern us, at least up till yesterday, is that any time spent looking at us is time that's wasted. And that in part is why we brought in an investigative team as well. An arrest is absolutely...
See, that's the thing as well. In their defense, I mean, it is more like you said, that when things like this happen, it's normally someone close in the family or a close family friend. It's normally someone close to the kid. And that's statistically most likely. What is statistically unbelievably unlikely is that someone got in your house, killed your daughter, and got out without you having any knowledge and without any evidence left. Nothing. Like, that sounds completely ridiculous and impossible, whereas the statistics say you're more likely to be killed by someone close to you. But it doesn't mean that they did it. Like, just because one's extremely unlikely, it doesn't mean that that didn't happen. Like, that's what when people say that that could never happen, it's like, well, crazy things happen in this life. Crazy things happen. But, so it could happen, but it's statistically more likely it's going to be someone who was in that house. So either him, her, or the brother.
Necessary in our lives for closure. Our lives cannot go on the same as they might have had JonBene still been here. But I know how I feel today, and that an arrest must be made for us to go on with some semblance of a life and a hope for the future. Yeah.
One of the reasons we asked you all
An arrest must be made so we can go on with our future. Is that because if arrest is made, people won't be looking at you, and that's what you mean by your future? We need an arrest to be made so we can go on with our future. So yeah.
here this morning is that we need your help from this moment on. I know you have been diligently covering this case, and we have appreciated some of what you've said. I have to be frank, not all of what you've said. But we need to all work together as a team, and we need your help. Some of you may have seen the ad that we placed in our local Daily Camera newspaper this past weekend. This reward money has been offered since the death of JonBene, but we felt like it wasn't getting out to the public enough. So this ad with her most recent kindergarten picture will be appearing more and more frequently. And what we want to let everyone know is that this $100,000 reward is for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the killer of our daughter. We feel like there are at least 2 people on the face of this earth that know who did this, and that is the killer.
Why 2?
And someone that that person may have confided in. And we need that one phone call. We need the one phone call to this number that will help the authorities come to a conclusion.
Why would you assume that person confided in someone? To be honest, it's not something you really tell someone that you do. Do you know what I mean? It can be a bit of a social faux pas. Do you know what I mean? Why would you assume that someone else knows? That's weird.
To this case, please, please, if you know anything, I beg you to call us.
I would absolutely want the most severe penalty that could be brought. Patsy? Yes, really. I did not kill my daughter, JonBene. There have also been innuendos that she has been or was sexually molested. I can tell you those were the most hurtful innuendos to us as a family. They are totally false.
I'm appalled that anyone would think that John or I would be involved in such a hideous, heinous crime. But let me assure you that I did not kill JonBene. I did not have anything to do with it. I love that child with my whole of my heart and soul. We feel like there are at least 2 people on the face of this earth that know.
Again, not to get, because I'm not an expert in anything, but to say that child and JonBene instead of my daughter and my child, there's a kind of distancing between her and, but I'm not an expert in anything. I just noticed that child, it's not that child, it's your child, it's my child. But you said that child, JonBene, you used her formal name, which is formal, it's not.
Who did this? And that is the killer and someone that that person may have confided in.
I think one of the issues that was distressing to us, and it perhaps caused some bias of opinion, is why did we bring lawyers into this process early on? And I can tell you both how that happened and why it happened. The how is that on the day after the tragedy, we were being consoled by friends and family, and a close friend of mine who is also a practicing attorney took me aside and said, "John, I see some things developing here that I would like to ask your permission to do some things that I think are necessary to be done." And I said, "Fine, do it." And so he retained counsel for Patsy and I. You know, at first we were shocked.
I don't blame them for that, to be fair. You can't hold that against them, because you are going to be looked at as suspects. And talking yourself to police is really not a good idea, because you're going to say things. So you can't hold that against them. That once you start to realise, hold on, you think I did this, need a lawyer.
And then outraged, and then we understood statistically that's a sad state of affairs, that's apparently in the majority of cases like this in our country, family members or parents are ultimately involved. And so we accepted being suspects, but what concerned us, and certainly still does concern us, at least up till yesterday, is that any time spent looking at us is time that's wasted. And that in part is why we brought in an investigative team as well. An arrest is absolutely necessary in our lives for closure. Our lives cannot go on the same as they might have had JonBene still been here. But I know how I feel today, and that an arrest must be made for us to go on with some semblance of a life and a hope for the future.
Mr. and Mrs. Ramsey, what do you want to say to the killer of your daughter?
We'll find you. We will find you. I have that as a sole mission for the rest of my life.
Mrs. Ramsey?
Likewise, the police and investigators have assured us that this is a case which can be solved. You know, you may be eluding the authorities for a time, but God knows who you are, and we will find you.
I don't think anyone did get charged today. But yeah. I don't know, see, that's the other thing. That's why I want to learn more about this, because, like I say, this is one of the, like, I listen to true crime stuff, and I've listened to some crazy stories of, but that's a crazy story. This whole thing is one of the most insane things I've ever heard. That someone come in your house and did that to your daughter. But yeah, like I say, I don't hold them getting a lawyer, no. I mean, that's pretty smart. But then, like what he just said then at the end, basically maybe your life won't go on the same as then. Like, that's like, yeah, I don't know. But that's why I want to learn more, like, because it is crazy. There's so many details and there's so many layers to the story. And like, when I watch the story, you instantly think the parents or the brother. But like I say, then they introduce these other people that was around, and you're like, it throws doubt on that it could be any one of them. Like yeah. But yeah, we'll definitely do more and request some more stuff to do. And I will do there's like hour-long interviews, but I just wanted to see what the disturbing thing was. And it was I'm appalled that that's what someone had highlighted and said it was disturbing. But I don't know what's disturbing about her saying, I'm appalled. I'm appalled people think it's us, but I suppose you would be appalled, but then you, like they said, statistically, it's most likely to be them or someone, yeah, in that house. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, and we will do more stuff because, yeah, like I say, this is fascinating. This case, I see why it's such a big story in America. But yeah, that's the reaction. Sweet.